Hey guys, I'm back and just reviewed Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. So, obviously now we're going to look at Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Now, this movie is definitely one of the weaker entries. It's not all that good. It's definitely not as good as what came before, and this is definitely like a steady decline. The series started really going downhill at this point. The Dream Master had its problems. It certainly had its flaws. Freddy was the star. He was no longer scary. He was just funny in that one. And this movie took that to another level. Now, but the thing about this movie is, aside from Freddy, okay, now, this movie has, like, a really dark, serious tone. It's very grim and kind of bleak. And it has kind of a gothic atmosphere, almost. And it is a lot more serious than Part 4, except for Freddy himself. Now, the thing about this movie, it's like you're watching, it's like, ooh, this is kind of creepy. It's like, ooh, I'm getting scared. Then it's like Freddy comes in. It's like, oh, shoo, okay, there's Freddy. I'm not scared anymore. He's just hilarious. He's gonna make us laugh now. It's like, oh, I'm getting scared. I hope that Freddy comes soon. It's like, oh, there he is. Oh, shoo. Now we're not scared. Freddy's way too silly in this movie. He's pretty much a straight-up comedian. Not as bad as he would be in the next movie, but still pretty bad. This is kind of the beginning of the end for the franchise. It's got its strong points. It's not completely terrible. It's not unwatchable. It's not awful, but it's really not good either at all. It's definitely probably my second least favorite next to Freddy's Dead, and not counting the remake. That's something else. We'll get to that later. But yeah, The Dream Child really could have been a lot better. All right, well, anyway, let's get to the story. Okay, Alice Johnson, played by Lisa Wilcox, and Dan Jordan, her boyfriend, played by Danny Hassel, returned from Part 4. They're now together. They've been together a while. It's about, I think it's like a year after The Dream Master, the fourth film. They're together. They think that Freddy's completely gone, but, Lisa Wilcox, yeah. Alice has a dream that, she's Amanda Krueger, Freddy's mother, the one who was raped by, 100 inmates in an asylum. She was like a nun. She was working there. She actually got locked inside with all these maniacs, and they raped her hundreds of times. And so Freddy was the bastard son of 100 maniacs. Alice sees that. So it's a pretty cool opening. That's the way it starts out. Alice is in the shower, and then she has a dream that she's Amanda, and she's the one, getting raped by all those inmates who, that's how Freddy's comes about. That's the origin of Freddy. That's his birth. They explain that in the third film, and Amanda Krueger was a character in that too. She was a spirit. She was a ghostly nun who talked to Craig Wasson's character. She's also in this movie too, played by a younger actress this time, who plays like a young Amanda Krueger. She's a ghost in this one too. One of the main character. Well, one of the good characters, obviously. And so, yeah, after that dream, Freddy's reborn, again, kind of a weird way, but not as absurd as the way he came back in the fourth film, so I guess that's good, a little bit of improvement. He comes back and he murders Dan Jordan, Alice's boyfriend, in a really, really bizarre scene where, he's riding a motorcycle and, he kind of becomes the motorcycle. Freddy, gets him all these wires and stuff and electrocutes him, and he becomes, a really grotesque motorcycle, metal electric creature before he dies. And then Alice has a vision of this. She's still the Dream Master. She's still got the power. She's got, she's able to see things before they happen. She's able to see them in her dreams and stuff. And again, just like Part 4, which, one of my problems with Part 4 was I couldn't tell which things were supposed to be in the dream world, which weren't. I think I forgot to mention this in that video too, the window shattering and other things that happened in real life. It wasn't clear which was a dream and which was reality, and how these weird things happened in real life. This movie has that fault too. Yeah, I forgot to mention it in my last video, so hopefully if you saw that, you're watching this one and I was able to correct my mistake by mentioning it here. Yeah, that's kind of a big problem. Some things don't make sense. This movie's very convoluted too. There's a lot going on, and there's a little too much, a little too complex and kind of hard to follow. And despite being so silly too, in a lot of ways when it comes to Freddy. Anyway, she finds out she's pregnant with Dan's child, which of course sucks because Dan just died, and his parents want to adopt a baby with themselves. She's just going through all the grief-stricken and remorseful and feeling guilt and everything. She wasn't able to save him from Freddy's evil clutches, who Freddy's now returned. So yeah, she's pregnant with a child, and Freddy's kind of trying to come out and the real world. He's trying to be reborn through her unborn child, Jacob, who is played by, in her dream sequences, by Whit Hertford. You know, that weird kid from Jurassic Park, and that one scene, Whit Hertford, the weird looking kid. Yeah, weird guy. He's still kind of weird. But yeah, Whit Hertford, he plays Jacob, her unborn son. She sees visions of him. He tries to help her, but Freddy's trying to influence the kid, make him evil, make him more like him, which is kind of a cool storyline. It's a little mixed up, but it was kind of a cool premise, really. It just could have been executed a little better, and Freddy's just, way too funny in this one. But his motives are still kind of sinister, though. It's not as bad as it was in the next movie. But anyway, yeah, aside from, Alice, who's a great lead, as I mentioned in my last video. She's a great heroine, right up there with Nancy and Kristen. The new characters are Greta, her friend, who's like an aspiring supermodel. She's kind of like a wannabe, pin-up artist. She wants to be like a model. Then Yvonne, who's a hospital volunteer and like a professional swimmer, pretty much. She swims a lot. She's like always spends time at the pool. And there's like a pool party scene too. And there's also Mark, who's a comic book geek, who reminds me a lot of myself. He's constantly reading comics and talking about superheroes, and people kind of are like, "What are you talking about?" People kind of dismiss him as being annoying, and he's obsessed with all the cool superheroes and stuff. He's always reading the comic books. So I like that guy. It was kind of silly though, but especially the way he died and his dream sequence was way too silly. Super Freddy, and then Mark becomes a superhero, and he says something like, "You're going down, you scarred-faced." What does he call him? A peckerwood or something? Or I can't remember what he calls him. Scar-faced something. Ding dong or something silly. Limp dick. You scar-faced limp dick. I think that's what he says. And Super Freddy. And it's so silly. That was one of the silliest scenes in the movie. And then, Greta's death scene's really weird too. She eats herself to death, and she gets really fat, and there's a scene like in the refrigerator where all the things are like, all the food in there, it's like going bad and like dissolving and getting all rotten. It kind of reminds, it's like stop motion. It's a really cool effect. Kind of reminds me of like the refrigerator in Pee-wee's Playhouse or something, or or something like that. One of those like Tim Burton stop animation early movies or something. It's really, really kind of cool. That was a really weird death scene. That was really over the top. And then, Alice gets visions every time one of her friends dies. Like, she sees her coming out of the fridge and stuff. A really, really creepy scene. Really weird, though, too. And Yvonne actually survives. Freddy tries to get her in the pool. Really cool dream sequence with the pool. And, I've always had nightmares about, drowning in pools, too. I'm an excellent swimmer, but, I think it's something that, everybody's kind of afraid of, drowning. It seems so horrible. It's a pretty cool pool sequence, a dream sequence with Yvonne, but Alice actually does manage to save her. But yeah, anyway, that's the basic premise. Her and her friends, and, they fall victim to Freddy. Alice tries to save them. She's trying to protect her unborn child, who, Freddy is trying to make him sinister, and, will she be able to do it? Find out in the end, does the unborn child end up becoming malevolent like Freddy, or is he able to be saved and stop the evil killer who haunts their dreams? Robert Englund's excellent in all ways. And when he is way more silly and a comedian, he's not scary. I'll never fault him for it. He's still a great actor. He's still awesome as Freddy. I still love watching him, even if it is too silly. As I said, this movie has a more serious tone, a gothic kind of feel of it. It's kind of ruined by when Freddy comes and makes a lot of jokes. But again, what he's doing is pretty scary and pretty and the effect he has on the child, that's pretty that's pretty harsh. So he's still he's still really evil here. So he's still not. It's still not the worst to come. That's for sure. And then we'll get to that in the next video. But oh god. But yeah, I kind of like the new cast. This one's definitely not as good as Part 4, and that movie wasn't even one of the better ones anyway, so this one's definitely a kind of a letdown. It's kind of like with Halloween 4 and 5. 5 was such a letdown, it wasn't worthy of Part 4. But here, Nightmare on Elm Street 4 wasn't anywhere near Halloween 4, so, it wasn't as insulting or disappointing when, this movie kind of betrayed the fans a little bit, because it's just kind of, I don't know, it seems so cheap and so commercial, and so, But again, as I said, it's not completely terrible. It's still watchable. It still has some entertaining moments. It's got some good things, but overall, I'd say this one's really forgettable and really one of the lesser entries. I definitely wouldn't recommend it all that much. Unless you're a huge fan of Freddy and you want to see more of him, and you want to see where the series is going, and some somewhat creative dream sequences, some cool effects. I'd say see it for that alone. It's directed by Stephen Hopkins, who, he does a commendable job in most respects, I suppose. Again, the dream sequences are fun to watch. That's kind of the main draw of the Freddy movies, I think, is the different dream sequences and the different way he kills his victims and, feeds on their souls and stuff. But yeah, this movie just could have been a lot better. I really did feel for Alice. She did a great job once again. Lisa Wilcox. I mean, she's a very strong lead. As I said, I really felt for her character and what she's going through with her unborn child, the grief of losing her boyfriend, and everybody trying to tear her apart. People not believing her about Freddy coming back and stuff. And I would have loved to see her story continued and come full circle in the next film, but sadly they took it in a different direction. Which, again, more on that later. But still, I love watching her, and she's a great heroine. And, and Robin Englund was great, despite being, more of a comedian this time, even more so than part 4, which, almost didn't think was possible. But yeah, I'd say Dream Child is definitely one of the weaker entries. Don't really recommend it all that much. It doesn't come that highly recommended from me. But, again, it's definitely not the worst either, So, Alright guys, well, I hope I didn't leave anything out. Again, I like the VHS cover way better. It's just Freddy's going shh, and then there's the carriage, which, well, it's there too. But, I got the VHS over there with my tape collection. I didn't feel like digging it out, so we're stuck with this. But, yeah, I just love Robert Englund. I just love watching him regardless. But again, this isn't a good movie by any means. I think the way they get rid of him, though, I won't give it away, but the way they dispatched Freddy at the end was a little better than the way they defeated him at the end of 4. So his birth and his death were both better in this movie than in part 4, but that wasn't quite enough to save this movie, which, again, is mostly very, very mediocre. Actually, probably even worse, than mediocre, probably a little lower. But again, it's got strong points. All right, guys, so I'm Hellhound, and next time, we're going to look at Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. Oh, gosh, more like the franchise is dead. But, yeah, more on that later. So, join me next time, and let's just try to get through it as quick as possible. All right, until then.